If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. 1, it's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So go ahead and download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Hey, welcome to What's Your I Can. Realize your I can in purpose, business, and family. Each week, we deliver the best kept secrets, strategies, and tips as a parent, purpose chaser, and entrepreneur. Now here's your host, Kristy Angelee.
All right, my book lovers and aspiring authors, don't I have a treat for you? You know how we do it. Get your favorite tea or beverage, call up your girlfriend, hit up your male friends, because we will be realizing our I can as an author when we don't see any success. We have an incredible show ahead, but first, let's get this mood right with some music by Beatmaster of Tailor Made Productions. We'll be right back. I hope you guys enjoyed that beat from the one and only Beatmaster of Tailor Made Productions, who has been so gracious to provide all the wonderful music that you will be hearing on this show. That's not all. We are definitely growing. A huge thank you to Josh Myers of voiceover master on YouTube and joshmeyervo.com. What's Your I Can? I am your host, Kristy Angelee. The purpose of today's show is to discover our I Can as an author. Our guest today is a best-selling author, and with his latest book release, Marcus the Vampire, Marc Ritorto of Ritorto Family Books will be sharing his most effective strategies to creating a great storyline. Mr. Marc from New York, I am so excited to have you on my show, and you know, putting that out there, you're looking for someone to cover your recent book. So let's take a little, just a detour into this book that you have. What is the name of your book?
Well, my new book is called Marcus the Vampire. So it's written about a particular character that grows up during the time of World War II. He just happens to be of Gypsy descent. So what a lot of people don't know is that particular ethnic group was persecuted along with people of Jewish descent at the same time. So when I was doing the research for my book, I did found out a lot of information as to what was going on at that particular time, like what particular groups of people or ethnicities that Hitler was prosecuting. And then I also knew that he did a lot of experiments. So a lot of characters in my book, particularly the Nazi characters, obviously not the vampire, were real people, like Colonel Frederick, and he actually existed. He ran a couple of concentration camps.
Oh, wow.
And the Dr. Death, as he's known as, is also a real character in the book. I mean, during that time. And they would do a lot of experiments on people, trying to see like how they could, believe it or not, they were trying to figure out quicker ways to kill people.
Oh, wow.
They were also known to experiment with steroids, with, trying to produce super athletes and super soldiers and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
So I kind of so when I was writing, I've always had the fascination with vampires, like with Vampire Diaries and
my mind with that.
I love Vampire Diaries. I like Underworld series. So when I was thinking about writing a book, I was like, I always had like a fascination with vampires, and I knew that obviously like the Nazis were experimenting on people in a concentration camp. So I'm like, well, what would be a good storyline would be to have someone who's captured and gets experimented on because they're trying to turn him into a super soldier.
Yeah.
But they couldn't kill him because his grandmother, who happened to be a gypsy, put I wouldn't call it a curse. It's kind of like a spell on him.
Right.
That he would always be safe. So instead of him getting killed, he would be turned into a vampire. And then there's another character, the Colonel, Frederick, who was his nemesis. He also gets turned into a vampire, but the difference is that Marcus was turned into a vampire by magic, whereas Frederick was turned into it by a serum that the Dr. Death had on supply from a previous vampire.
Oh, wow.
So Marcus has different abilities, like he can walk during the day, he can't. So whereas most vampires obviously can't walk around and during the day.
Right.
That's like the weaknesses. And then there's another reason why I wrote the book is at the time I was injured and I was like going through a big change. I'm like, because people who know me, they know I'm like really into martial arts, really into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And I was like, well, what's going to happen, because I like I had like really bad arthritis in my foot and
Right.
my elbows.
Wow.
So I'm like, well, let me just take my mind off it and just pour my energies into the book. I already had written a previous book called The Kabbalah's Saga Begins, so I kind of knew like how to go about through the process and so forth. And also I've helped my daughter, Christina, publish several of her books. So I was kind of familiar with the process. It was just a matter of putting my thoughts on paper. So I was like, all right, well, I'm going through a change. Let me write about a guy who's going through a change.
Oh,
his
wow.
change obviously is more significant. He's in a concentration camp. He loses some family members, and now he's only got one particular family member left, which is his daughter, whose name is Christina too.
Right.
Right.
Oh, wow.
And so now he's tasked with trying to protect his daughter from not only the Nazis, but also creatures of what I call the Dark World, which consists of vampires, werewolves, and witches.
Right.
So story goes on, like he escapes the concentration camp, and along the way, something happens to his daughter, so he's trying to find his daughter again, and he meets another friend, who also just happened to be in a concentration camp, but was in the camp before him and escaped, but just happens to be a werewolf. So they form a very strong bond, because the character by the name of Eric happens to save his daughter. So Mark is eternally grateful to him for saving his daughter. And then the story continues, and I'm trying to. I haven't started the sequel yet. I kind of left it as a big cliffhanger because I wanted it to keep going.
Yeah.
I've been slacking. I'm still working on a sequel for the Cabal, but I'm trying to continue the series, because the first book will take place in the past in World War II. And then the next book, or the next one after that, will take place in the present, where he's now, I don't want to give away too much, but now wakes up and he's in the new world, 2020s, and he's trying to figure out, like, his daughter's alive, is she not alive, what happened to her?
Right.
What's going to happen is that, I don't want to give away too much, but now he finds out he has a granddaughter.
Ooh.
So now it's going to take place with that.
Yeah.
And then, like, all the characters find out now that he's back. All his nemesis, like the Colonel and some other vampires that he made enemies with. So he's going to be trying to save his granddaughter, from all those people. So it's going to be like a continuing story. I have everything written down in outline format. It's just me of actually putting it down to words. I've been kind of slacking. But yeah, because it takes a lot. Like, you got to come up with the whole outline and put your thoughts down. And I don't do this full time, so I do this. I got a full time job.
Okay.
Kids.
Oh, boy, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So how do you, when you get ready to write, and I want to first go back to the whole storyline in itself, like the setting, and why did you choose, like, the Nazis and I saw Hitler and I saw just the World War II. What made you, pick that specific setting?
Well, I figured it was a significant time in not American history, world history.
Yes.
World War II. So I like that aspect. I also chose the character to be Gypsy.
Right.
I also found out that Hitler persecuted people. Well, we call them Gypsies. They refer to themselves as Romanis.
Okay.
They were persecuted. And I like the fact that that particular ethnic group is also typecast in other occult films, like Wolfman, Werewolf, with Jack Nicholson. The character gets cursed.
Yes. And
becomes a werewolf, but the movie's called Wolfman. And they're always in vampire movies.
Okay.
So, and the area is not Romanis, where they came from, is not that far from Transylvania. So
Yeah.
it all kind of gelled.
Mhm.
So that's how I came up with it. I was like, wow, significant time in history.
Right.
They're known for conducting experiments.
Exactly.
They're known for killing a particular ethnicity of people.
Right.
That are also associated with vampires and werewolves. So I'm like, oh wow, this is great.
Oh wow, it is.
Yeah.
When I was in New York, I saw where they actually had the I don't want to say a shrine, but this museum or for the Jews, for that
The Holocaust,
the Holocaust. Yes. So I'm wondering now, since you're mentioning about the gypsies, and this is something that I didn't know about, and I'm pretty sure that other listeners, may not know of. So this is some very good information. Now it makes me want to go and dig into it even more.
Yeah.
I wonder if they have something like that for gypsies, like. Like what you hear so far? Make sure you represent with our rebranded t-shirt line, KristyAngelee.BigCartel.com. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your support. Now, back to the show.
No, not that I'm aware of.
Really?
In the book, I do mention, I forget the state that it's in. The book opens up with a scene with the granddaughter going to a Holocaust museum, and then I hope I'm not giving out too much. She ends up meeting a guy in the museum that just turns out to be a grandfather. Like,
wow.
Everything will come out in the other books, but in book one, I do mention I just can't think of what the state is. The Holocaust Museum. She's going to visit the Holocaust Museum.
Yeah.
And then she meets the older gentleman, and then it goes on from there. Like, then he starts reminiscing about the war, and then he tells the story about how life was back then and how he became a vampire. But during my research, I think there were like 1 million gypsies killed, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, and
I've never heard of this.
Yeah.
Wow. No. It's always.
I mean, obviously,
Jews,
I think there were significantly people of Jewish descent, but
1 million people is still like
brutal.
How you gonna miss a whole culture, a nation of people that were, but we've only, like I said, I've only heard about Jews. So this is very interesting. And
so the website I found, they were like, they call it, the Romani people call it their Holocaust. Okay. So I forget the name. It was like I just like Googled it. I'm like, hey, gypsies. Let me see if there's any connections to Nazis and blah blah blah. And I found some website. And then what was also significant was that, which is sad, is that they also killed a lot of children in those concentration camps.
Right.
Because their thought process was, if you're a young child, you're useless to them. You can't work. You can't do anything.
So this be?
If you were a kid,
right?
If you were under the age of 12. Usually, like within the first 24 hours, they would execute you. Well, I don't go into the gory details of it, but yeah.
Ooh. So you mentioned that the vampire has a daughter. So now with this information, would this be one of the reasons why you chose for the person that have a child in this story? Because of, I don't know, my thought, if I was writing this book, it would be something I would add into it, because now here's a child, like you said, he's trying to keep the child safe, but this is another factor that plays into the story. Like,
well, you try, when you write a story, you try to have I forget what they call it. I think they also do it in drama too. There's when you try to give the book like a purpose.
Okay.
Like, what is the main character? What's the plot of the story? What is the main character going through? Right. So in this case, the character, he's not only imprisoned in a camp, he loses his wife, and the only family member he's got left is, that's close to him, is his daughter.
Right.
And so, me being a father,
Yeah.
Fathers tend to be very overprotective of their daughters. So that's, I kind of like, I try to, it's a little bit of me's in there. I mean, obviously other than the name, but like, I got a daughter, he's got a daughter, So you have to give the character some main purpose and and then that the audience can identify and relate to. So in this case, it's Marcus, yes, you're relating to him of what he's going through, but it's also, you're seeing it through the eyes of a father. Like, he's only got his daughter, and then it goes on from there. It's I just thought it was a really good storyline,
It is. It's a very good storyline.
Yeah,
it needs to be a movie.
Liked it.
I will read it and I will watch the movie because. So I think that I'm adding that to your I can list. You can do a movie.
Yeah. I've actually kind of looked into that with my first one. It's like a long process. Like, you gotta get a screenplay, then you gotta get like a producer or whatever. It's like it's a long process. Then I thought of like maybe like self-producing like one of my daughter's books, but it's all based on time. Like, there's only so many hours in the day that that I can do things.
Exactly.
So right now I'm just like sticking to the book and helping my daughter promote her book, which she's got her own little book series called Invisible Girl Series, and she's got 2 books that are part of it. So it's kind of interesting because she takes her experiences as a child from the age of 11 when she wrote the book. Actually, the first one was at 10, but growing up and what they go through. So it's kind of like, hers is a little bit more realistic, some parts.
Yeah.
It's fictionalized, it's relating to girls from her age, whereas mine is, this new one obviously is some aspects of me, but obviously a lot of it's fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. I think it's very cool. I would definitely get the books, and I saw the different books that your family has written. I'm like, yay, family, because of course, what's your I Can in Purpose, Business, and Family, learning how to include everyone in the process and not leaving anyone out. So I really like the idea that you guys have a family of books. And how does that work for you guys? Like, with my son, he's working on developing a game, and so with me,
it's not easy. I've done a little of that too.
Really?
Yeah, not to make money. I was just teaching myself certain stuff. But now, because I work in the IT field, so at the end of the day, my eyes are shot. So I'm like, I'm not doing that anymore. Like, when I'm done with work, I can't look at a computer again.
Yeah.
But yeah, like pretty much, like my daughter, I have 4. Like I said, I got 4 daughters. Christina's the only one that's actually published the book, but my second oldest, Julia, she's working on she wrote a book. She didn't like it. She trashed it. Now she's focusing on kids' books.
Okay.
She likes to draw and do that type of stuff more than actually sitting down and writing a whole novel.
Okay.
So she's really good at drawing, so she's focusing more on kids' books. And then my youngest daughter, Samantha, who is, I lost track how old they are. She's 9. She's writing a book too. She hasn't let me look at it yet, but
really?
Yeah, she's like, I don't know how she just keeps typing. I'm just waiting to see the final product. But yeah, basically, they write the books. I write my books, and then I pretty much handle the publishing and marketing of it. My daughter Christina hates anything to do with marketing.
Really?
She's done podcast interviews. She doesn't really. I don't know. Doesn't really do it for her.
Yeah.
So I just make sure I plug her in.
That. Yes. Yeah. You the daddy, you're supposed to plug her in. Like, what kind of father would like, and by the way, my daughter, yes.
Yeah. But yeah, she's very talented. She's got a very good imagination. So I'm just looking, hopefully she continues to stick with it. And Yeah, we even use the name family in our websites, RitortoFamilyBooks.com.
I love that.
Yeah. And we got a YouTube channel, which has got like interesting book trailers on there that I've made. The one for the vampire book I like.
Oh, it's up. Okay. I'm gonna.
Yeah, it's okay. It's pretty cool. So you hear my voice talking, trying to get the plot of the book. It's like a little short 30-second video clip, and you see the moon rise, and you see a wolf howling. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Awesome.
Considering I used whatever videos I could get for free. Free YouTube videos.
Exactly.
Match it up together. Yeah, I do everything on the cheap. And then, so we got the book trailers on there, and we got the website, and then, they're also available on Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com. So, yeah.
Oh, great. So, what would you say to those that are, obviously you have a lot of experience in writing books, and what would you say, what kind of tips would you give? You've been giving tips along the way, but what would you give to anybody who comes to ask you of writing books and where to start, and even in podcasting, what are some tips that you've learned, some strategies that you put into place that,
Oh, well, marketing is not easy.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you're planning to spend money for it, but if you're trying to do it especially for books, doing it the free, the only social media, that's probably it. But my tips would be, if you got money to put into the marketing for your books, that's the only real good thing about Amazon.
Would you like access to community curated and moderated by Kristy Angelee? Listen in to our next show for more details. Now, back to the show.
Is that you can promote your books within the Amazon website. So if someone goes to another book, your book will show up.
Right.
But I would say if you have some intuition that you're going to be the next Stephen King, unless you end up being like Stephen King, I wouldn't really be looking to make a lucrative career out of it. But I think if you should do it more because you enjoy it. But in terms of marketing, I would say start out with your paperbacks, put them at Barnes & Noble and Amazon. Your ebooks, try to do you can select within a 3-month period to do their exclusive program, which means people who have Kindle Unlimited can check out your books. They don't have to buy it. They can read it for free. But you get paid for every page they read, just to get your name out there. And then try to do the audio books. Try to get your books in as many different formats. I'm still trying to find a reader for my Marcus the Vampire book. I got my first book, The Cabal, The Saga Begins, which is an action, thrill, suspense. No, that's an audio book format. And try to do Amazon for your ebook exclusive for at least the first year. Then if you want to branch out to BarnesandNoble.com, that's fine. Paperback you can put anywhere, Barnes & Noble or Amazon. But the ebook, I would try to stick with Amazon first, because you can get into their lenders program, and whoever has that Kindle Unlimited program or Prime account can pick up the book and read it for free. Social media, you gotta, if you're not into social media, you're not gonna make it.
Oh, wow.
you need to have everything. I only have I got a YouTube, a Twitter, an Instagram, and a Facebook page.
Yeah.
I've even thought of doing Snapchat or some other ones. It is hard to manage.
Yes.
There are tools out there that some are free, but they limit to how many times you can post.
Right.
All that. But yeah, I guess it depends on how much. If you got the money, do it. If you don't, then you got to do everything yourself. You got to post your postings. You got to find free software and scheduling it. So like for me, for the the author business, it's like Ritorto Family Books Facebook. My Instagram is Marc_Ritorto. My Twitter is Marc BJJ Twitter, which is the same thing for my podcast.
Okay.
The only difference, and I got a YouTube channel, Ritorto Family Books YouTube channel. But like, for those who are doing podcasting, I would suggest, I highly recommend Anchor because it's free and you don't get unlimited storage. Whereas the Podbean you can do they have a free plan, but you're limited on storage, like how many episodes you put out, how much storage space. That's the one good thing I like about Anchor. You got to get into social media. I think now advertising a podcast, I think, is a little easier. So you focus on your what your podcast is about. Like for me, I'm very niched. My podcast is called Marc the Shark MMA Show, so I'm very niched. It's anything with martial arts. I interview a lot of MMA fighters. I post a lot of stuff in mixed martial arts groups, trying to get MMA fighters on my show. And then occasionally I chat with my friends who are other martial artists about past mixed martial arts events like the UFC or Bellator. So for me, that's very niched. So I that's kind of like why I did it. So I can pick different groups. I've thought about doing another one that would kind of be like the Marc show or the Marc the Shark show. Yeah. Or I can I kind of like the idea of like helping entrepreneurs and musicians, like indie musicians and other indie authors, get their name brand out there. I just haven't really pulled the trigger, so to speak. I may or may not do that, but yeah, but with my podcast, depends on your time. I try to have a YouTube channel, MarcTheSharkMMAShow.com, so I'm on there. I think I got like 10 or 20 videos. I don't have every single episode on there because I like to, when you're a podcast, you make more money as people listen to your podcast, which YouTube down. So what I do is I do my own, this is advice for you or anybody else has a podcast. I put my ads for whatever affiliate leaks, whatever, in my YouTube videos. Okay. And then I also have a live streaming show that I do Saturdays, 3:00. Sometimes it goes at 4, like today, unfortunately. But it's on Twitch. So if you go to twitch.tv/MarcTheSharkMMA Show, you can see my videos there. They're only up there. You can only keep them up there for, I think, 7 days. That's why I also put them on YouTube. But what's good about it is it's a live show. So if you happen to go on there and follow me, you can actually chat with me while I'm interviewing the MMA fighter.
Oh, great.
Doing a recap. But it's also cool is that I have the coding embedded on my website so that people can go to my website, MarcTheSharkMMAShow.com, and they can watch the show there when you click on the Live Now tab. And then while they're there, they can also shop and buy my hoodies, my T-shirts.
Oh, great. Look at you.
So I added it all there so that I can keep everybody on my website.
Right. God, that's smart thinking.
I do the same thing with Ritorto Family Books. I don't have the YouTube channel on there, but we have Ritorto Family products there too, like coffee mugs, T-shirts, hoodies, stuff for kids. I got crop tops for ladies for my Marc the Shark MMA show.
Oh, y'all hear that?
Yeah, but I mean, that's just, you really got to be involved with social media. That's the hard part, like the posting. But if you had the money, you could probably buy like tools or hire someone to do it all for you. But I guess it depends on what your finances are and what your goals are. Some people just do the podcast for fun. I do it for fun. Yeah. I do have an aspiration of being the next Joe Rogan.
Come with it.
make his millions sitting around bullshitting with people.
Exactly.
That's what he does, man. But it's all off advertising, dude.
Exactly.
It's all off advertising. Well, he's got that. I'm sure he gets paid. I think his show's on Sirius. Like I watched his show on YouTube, but I think he's got a his show with the ads are on Sirius, and that's where. So I'm sure they pay him, and then the podcast on iTunes, people probably pay him to advertise their services on his podcast. But yeah, I mean, you definitely gotta like it. If you're thinking, you know, you're gonna get rich off it, nah. I mean, unless you put a lot of money in advertising, you get really good content. That's the key. You have to have content. And then I know some people are busy out there, but like you yourself, I don't know how often I try to put out an podcast episode, at least a podcast episode, every Friday or Sunday. Usually it's on a Sunday. Like I'm consistent with it. And with Twitch channel, I mean, YouTube, not so much, you know. Now I'm getting them. I have all these backlog of videos, so I'm uploading slowly. Wow. So I try to do that like I upload it and I schedule them to come up like every 2 weeks. I think it's this weekend or next weekend. I don't know when it's coming out. I got a full interview I did with Clifford Sparks. Like I split it up, part 1, and then the second one, which is coming out, is the full one. He used to fight UFC, Bellator. Really nice guy, tough guy. So he's on my podcast and then on my YouTube. So through my show, particularly if it's like a business or whatever, or an MMA fighter, they get a lot of exposure because they get it on the podcast, which gets heard everywhere, just like yours, right? Then if they did the show with me on Twitch, like if they're willing to do the live show with me, it goes there first, instantaneously. You're exposed. Then you go right from there to the podcast, because I go to the podcast next. And then eventually you go on YouTube, maybe like, you know, a month later or something, but you're getting exposed multiple times. And then I'm also working on getting on Amazon.
Go ahead. Okay.
You can watch my shows on Amazon Prime, but that's a little bit more work. You gotta edit the closed captions. There's like a file. It's kind of like I tried it and failed, so now I gotta re-edit the file. I just have to actually sit down and take a weekend to go through it. But yeah, I'm looking to get my show on Amazon Prime. So if you got the Amazon Prime, you can watch it. If not, you just gotta pay a little fee to watch. And most likely the show may be different than what I previously showed. Right. So probably do like 10 episodes a season or whatever. Yeah, so I try to get my name out there everywhere.
I think that's it. Right.
Gotta get you, and then wherever the podcast is or my video, I mention my books.
Yeah. Yes, of course. Shameless plug.
I'm like, hey, I not only get to talk about the sport I love, I get to promote my book. So, and then I started another thing, but it's not a podcast. It's just a YouTube channel. Because another thing I picked up when I was injured was playing instruments like guitar and piano. So now I have my own YouTube channel called the Rockin' with Marc channel. So check that out too. Okay. And I got ads for my books in there too. And it's a little quick 40-second ad, but it's in there. And then some people I've only done it a few times. Like a lot of podcasters use Zoom. That's good. Sometimes I use that for my Twitch channel. Like if I can't go live, they got crappy reception. Zoom is very good. The recording clarity is very good. But sometimes some people like to multi-stream at the same time. Yes. So you can use, I think it's Lola.tv, but I haven't figured out a way where you can do an interview with like a guest, like me and you. Right. But if you're talking by yourself, you can go to Instagram and Facebook and YouTube all at the same time. And then there's another service called Restream, which I use a lot. So let's say you start your YouTube channel or your Twitch channel. You're recording this. Yeah. It's free for 30 minutes. So I usually try to limit my interviews to like 25 minutes because of that, so I can throw my ads in. Right. because you can use their service to schedule it
Uh-huh.
automatically, like on a certain day, and you can restream to multiple channels or one channel. So I use that service a lot for my Twitch channel.
Mm-hmm.
And then if sometimes people pay me to interview them, sometimes I may use a service like StreamYard or Lula TV. StreamYard's another one, but for free. But Lula, you get more exposure at the same time. You can go on Facebook, Twitch, Facebook, and Instagram, I think all at the same time. Whereas StreamYard, you have to pay, but you can go to them just one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
But what's good is you can give whoever it is that's paying you to interview them, or if you're promoting a particular product on your podcast or whatever, you can hit multiple avenues at the same time. I haven't done that a lot. I haven't decided if I'm gonna go that route.
Right.
Because I kind of like, it goes here and then goes there.
Yeah.
But then, it is spaced out.
Yeah.
So maybe it's more convenient to go to more than one place. I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet. But I mean, you might want to consider that, or any listeners who listen to this that got their own podcast, or they may want to consider it. Like, definitely look into Restream if you want to restream a video that you already recorded through Zoom,
mm-hmm.
and you want to schedule ahead of time. I mean, you can only do one a week, but who cares? You don't have to worry, set it and forget it.
Yeah.
Or if you want to you can go live with it
mm-hmm.
as well.
Okay.
To multiple places, but you can't do what we're doing here.
Right.
Whereas StreamYard, you can do interviews like me and you are.
Okay.
Yeah, you can do that you can use them for Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and some other places.
Really? So that's something that I have not heard of, Restream. So that's...
Yeah, and then there's another software called OBS, or I think it's OBS, or let me check my computer.
Uh-huh.
It's called, OBS Studio.
Okay.
OBS Studio allows you, it's just for streaming live, but you can restream existing videos. So if my video is longer than 30 minutes, like I said,
mm-hmm.
restream.io is their website, limits you to for free, but it has to be under 30 minutes. But if you're over, you can use OBS.
Okay.
Restream to YouTube, or you can use it with Twitter.
Wow.
Periscope, which is
right. Oh, I haven't.
Yeah.
So
I tell you, I go all over.
Yeah.
So, like, you can even go to Mark the Shark MMA show. You'll see some of my videos there, or on my YouTube. Like I did when I was still doing jiu-jitsu, I did an in-house interview after jiu-jitsu school.
Okay.
And we streamed live because he was with me. So
right.
To do what we're doing.
Yeah.
This was before the COVID virus. So I was at his school. It was after I worked out. And then we went live. We streamed right to Instagram. I think it was YouTube and some other place. We did it once. And so I had something from my podcast. This is another thing. Repurpose your content. That's the beauty of Restream. So right now, if you're a podcaster and you're doing a live video, Zoom breaks it up, audio and video file. So now you got your audio file for your podcast, and you got your video for YouTube, or you can use it through OBS to stream to Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, whatever.
Yeah.
Facebook. So repurpose your content. That's what I do, and I do try to spread it out. So Mark's got someone's following me on Facebook. They're like, Mark the Shark's got something new on Facebook.
Right.
But they may not go on Instagram. Mm-hmm. But if someone's on Instagram and they're following me, there's he's on Instagram.
Exactly.
Or they go to if they're a regular, they go to my Twitch channel, he's on Twitch. So you got it all depends on what your goals are.
Okay. Right.
Like me, I know I'm still small, but if something happens, I do make some coin doing what I do, but not a lot, obviously. But the more I grow, more the audience grows, and more, but it only happens through exposure.
Exactly.
Anything for an author with their book, you got to get your name out there. Social media,
Right.
podcast. Still trying. I still haven't got myself on TV yet. That I have to work on that and slacking on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. You have so many outlets that you're using, and all what you have been saying is very good information, because some of this stuff I did not know myself. So I'm going to be able to use, more than just, well, I'm with like 4 different social media, but the repurposing these different softwares that you can use as well. So that was very good.
Tip for you.
Uh-huh.
If you guys got social media, not social media, if you guys got an Instagram account, right? It's linked to your Facebook account.
Exactly.
And Twitter account. So you can do one posting. Sometimes I do that. The only thing means is like I have a picture to post.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the annoying thing. So I try to use the same picture over and over. But you can do one posting to 3 different places at the same time. You can post. You can also do Tumblr, but I don't have a Tumblr account. That was the other social media thing. I'm not too familiar with them, but I know I see that option. So if you have an Instagram account, you can post for free to Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. So that saves time. So that's the other thing. You got to budget your time.
Yeah,
but I know
exactly.
As a podcaster or a person who's doing a book, you find out that you spend more time marketing than what you did to make the book or to make the podcast,
Right. So. Awesome. Well, I really appreciate your time and everything that you have brought to the show. It's very valuable. I really thank you. And I'm looking to have you again on the show, because I'm having like so many more thoughts and
bring it back.
That we can take on this conversation. So most definitely. So again, you guys make sure you plug into his podcast and so other social media sites. Get his book. It's on Amazon. Marc is the Vampire, the Dark World Chronicles. I'm very interested in that myself. So I will be purchasing a book for myself and my children. So we're going to be reading that, and I'm going to leave a review. So you guys, I'm going to do a book review. I normally do a book review on YouTube. So I will leave a book review and tag you in it so you can hear what I have to say about your book, because just you telling about the story and me reading the outline itself, it captured my attention. So I'm like, why did he choose this? Why did he want to, so all of that itself made me want to read the book and purchase the book. So I will be doing that. Okay. So thank you again so much for joining me in this What's Your I Can, Realizing Your I Can in Purpose, Business
and Family. Thanks for joining us this week on What's Your I Can. Make sure to visit our website, anchor.fm/Kristy Angelee, where you can listen on, support, and message us so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate a rating on whatever you are listening to the show, or if you simply tell a friend about the show. That will help us out too. Kristy Angelee is available for speaking as well as private coaching. Remember, what's your I can? Realize your I can.